Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Streggy, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I'm your host, David Streggy, and here I have another review for you, this time of another film, which I believe is the second film that Neil Johnson had directed. He is an Australian director, but he has been a citizen of the United States for quite some time now. But his feature from 2002, which is called To Become One, was originally on Brain Damage Films as a single DVD, but then it was paired with his Demons in My Head film as a double feature, and then it was picked up for distribution with Mill Creek Entertainment's Pendulum Pictures, and it is on disc 5 of this Tombs of Terror 50 pack, and it is the last film on disc 5 here. So here we have a story of Melinda. And Melinda is played by Emma Grasso. And she's a very pretty girl. Not sexy, but pretty. And one thing I like to mention is that that it seems like many of the actors and actresses that Neil Johnson had worked with in his previous film as well as this film is that they had an accent, which I'm assuming that it's because of those he knows, and since he's from Australia, some of them sound Irish, some of them sound British. Some of them sound like they're from the UK, so they often sound. And this is not that I'm trying to stereotype them at all in any way, shape, or form, but they have some kind of an accent. So being said, Melinda. Well, in the very beginning here, we see Jane Rowland, who had played Marcia in the previous film. She plays a character that evidently gets killed by this Dr. Hatcher, and I believe that this was the mother of Melinda. Um, so we see a little bit of a um, past scenario of when Melinda was a child, and obviously her mother is no longer in her life, but um, Melinda has a party, and someone shows up at the party, gives her a gift, and lo and behold, many of her friends begin to get murdered. And so, in a sense, this film is slightly a slasher film. And first of all, I love how original that this killer is. He wears a mask and he goes around sliding this sword, so you hear the sound of the sword along the ground. But there is a very specific kill that I'd like to mention. There is a certain blonde that goes outside to a car, and you hear the sound of the um, sword on top of the car, and this makes it more real. You hear it being pressured into the car several times before you see it go through the top of the car to make it seem like it's a lot much harder to puncture the top of the car than it is to really do it. And but I love the fact that when he actually does kill the victim, that you hear it happen, and then the camera moves downwards to show you that the sword is in the head, that it is punctured through the car, and the blood is streaming down the face, and it actually looks like, you know, she was dead regardless. So, um, that specific kill, um, will stick in my mind forever. Um, for some reason, that whole entire scene, that's my favorite scene of the entire film. Now, that being said, there are several more kills that happen, and then, of course, Melinda is ultimately kidnapped, taken to some hospital that we don't know where it is, and within this hospital is a cult of patients that evidently this Dr. Hatcher, played by David Fallon, which I forgot to mention in my previous review of um, The Demons in My Head. He played a character in there called the Wise Man, and in a sense, he kind of reminded me of like a Doctor Who kind of a character, where he kept showing up at different areas of the film to try to tell the main character how to use that Nephilim device on his head. Well, here he plays Dr. Hatcher, and in a sense, I kind of like how um, we we kind of get the story of how Dr. Hatcher got his beginnings, because evidently we we get the story as as the film progresses. The apparently he is a twin of his own that was separated, and because of the mental health of his own brother, he is um, trying to figure out the surgery of actually reattaching Siamese twins, so that maybe he might be able to help his own brother out in the end. But I don't think he realized his own mental health and his own health as this went forward. And Melinda becomes like a victim of this procedure and the whole journey of him trying to figure out the right way to do this surgery so that he can probably enact it upon his own self before his own brother dies. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out to his benefit. So I guess I like the fact that you you get the whole story, and that he's not just out to, even though he does wrong, he has kidnapped her, uh, and apparently Michael, who was played by Jay Gallagher, who ultimately was eventually in Wormwood. Um, Michael, he is her brother, and he is the guy who was in the mask, who had the sword and was killing her best friends, her mother and her father. And she learns all of this while she was in this hospital, but she also learns to respect Michael a little bit too. Learns to love him a little bit too, while this whole thing is going on. My biggest thing against this film was more or less, all right. I got the fact that there was a cult, but it kept returning to that area where all the mental patients were, and the service that went on. We didn't need to see all of those scenes. I do believe that this film may not have needed all of those scenes, and maybe the screaming of the patients was a little bit over the top. So I do believe that this film may have needed some editing in those areas where you just get the main point instead of dragging it out. It was kind of a dragged out process, at least in that respect. But I did enjoy the story. I did enjoy the coming about of why he was doing what he was doing, instead of a straight slasher. Okay, kill the girl. A girl now stuff her already, kind of thing. So this film was part slasher, part scientific experiment gone wrong. So in any case, I enjoyed the film for the most part. I mean, I enjoyed the music behind the film more. To be honest, I liked the techno that seemed to be part of the film. Let's see, the music doesn't really say much about the music itself, but this film was produced by Jane Rowland, who also produced the previous film, as well as Nephilim, which eventually I will get to. But I've enjoyed the both characters that David Fallon um, had created for either two of these films. In Daybreakers, he was a janitor. In Scooby Doo from 2002, he was a bartender at Mike's. In the Chronicles of Narnia, he was a slave trader. In The Proposition from 2005, he played Tom Cox. In so in Cybergirl, the TV series, he played Ramirez. Things of this nature. In Sinbad and the Minotaur, he played King Minos in 2011. So, other than that, I do think that this film was entertaining. So, thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Just hopefully you check out this film. Give it a one-time watch and at least see if you enjoy it. I mean, you can do a lot with a little, and I believe that the holy place that little area that evidently was a small cave area. That was an interesting um, film location for this film. Um, and just let me know down in the comments what you thought of the film if you've seen it. And like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully you enjoyed my review. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?